Sarah knew she was dead the second their eyes met across the club. The ruthless Korean Mafia boss she had left at the altar 6 months ago, pregnant with his baby and convinced he never loved her, had finally found her in Baltimore, and the cold fury on Yoon Dae-won's face promised he wasn't here to forgive. As his hand closed around her wrist like a steel trap, dragging her toward a private room while his security cleared a path through the crowd, she realized this night would end in one of two ways, with her in his bed or in her grave. By the way, family, if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, you can join as a member or send a super thanks. Totally optional. Your support helps me post more for you. The bass thundered through the underground club in Baltimore like a heartbeat gone wild. Sarah moved on the dance floor, her body swaying to the music, trying to forget the past 6 months of running and hiding. The purple lights flashed across her dark skin, and her silver dress clung to curves that were fuller now, though nobody could tell yet that she was carrying a secret. She had come here to disappear into the crowd, to feel free for just one night. Then she felt it. That burning sensation of being watched, the same feeling she had been running from for half a year. Sarah's eyes lifted, scanning the VIP section above the dance floor, and her heart stopped. There he was. Yoon Dae-won stood like a dark prince overlooking his kingdom, dressed in an all-black suit that made him look dangerous and beautiful at the same time. His jaw was tight, his dark eyes locked on her with an intensity that made her knees weak. Even from across the room, she could feel his anger rolling toward her like a storm. Their eyes met, and the world seemed to stop spinning. Daewon's hand tightened around his glass until his knuckles turned white. 6 months he had searched every city, followed every lead, turned over every stone, looking for the woman who had vanished from his life. And here she was, dancing in a club like she had not left him standing alone at the altar, like she had not disappeared with his child growing inside her. He moved down the stairs with deadly grace, his men parting the crowd before him. Sarah felt her breath catch. She should run. She should push through the dancing bodies and escape out the back door, but her feet would not move. She was frozen, caught between wanting to flee and wanting to feel his hands on her again, going somewhere. His deep voice cut through the music as he appeared behind her, his hand wrapped around her wrist, not rough, but firm enough that she knew he would not let go. Sarah turned to face him, lifting her chin, even though her heart was racing. "Let go of me, Daewon. Not a chance." His eyes travelled down her body, taking in every change, every curve. When his gaze returned to her face, there was something raw and hungry there. "We need to talk. We have nothing to say to each other." He leaned closer, his lips near her ear, his warm breath sending shivers down her spine. "I have plenty to say to you, Serafina, starting with where the hell you have been." Before she could answer, he was pulling her through the club, past curious stares and whispered gossips. His security team cleared a path to a private room in the back. The door closed behind them, shutting out the music and leaving them in heavy silence. Sarah yanked her wrist free and spun to face him. "You cannot just drag me around like I belong to you, don't I?" He stepped closer, his tall frame towering over her. "Last I checked, you were supposed to be my wife. Last I checked, I was just a business deal to you." The words burst out of her, all the hurt and anger from 6 months ago flooding back. Daewon's eyes flashed. "What are you talking about? I heard you." Sarah's voice cracked. "The night before the wedding, you were on the phone with your uncle. You said marrying me was just another merger, another way to expand your territory through my father's connections in Eritrea. You said you felt nothing for me." His face went completely still. "You ran because of that. What did you expect me to do? Marry a man who saw me as a contract? Tears burned in her eyes, but she blinked them back. She had cried enough over him. Dayan moved so fast, she gasped. His hands cupped her face, forcing her to look at him. "You stupid, stubborn woman." I said that because my uncle's phone was tapped, because I knew my enemies were listening. I had to make them think you meant nothing to me, so they would not use you against me. Sarah's breath caught. What? Every word was a lie. His thumb brushed her cheek, his touch gentler than his angry eyes. I was protecting you the only way I knew how, by making them think you were just business. Then why did you not tell me? Because I am a coward. The confession seemed torn from him. I am good at violence and control and building empires, but telling the woman I love that I love her, I failed at that. The word love hung in the air between them. Sarah's heart was beating so hard she thought it might break through her chest. "You love me." Instead of answering, Dayan kissed her. It was not gentle or soft. It was 6 months of searching and anger and desperate need all poured into one moment. His mouth claimed hers like he was drowning, and she was air. Sarah's hands fisted in his jacket, pulling him closer even though part of her brain screamed that this was a mistake. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dayan pressed his forehead to hers. "I have been losing my mind looking for you, every day wondering if you were safe, if you were eating enough, if you were alone." His hand slid down to her stomach, pressing gently against the small bump hidden by her dress. "If my child was growing healthy." Sarah froze. "How did you know?" "I know everything about you, Serafina, including the pregnancy test you bought at that pharmacy in Philadelphia before you disappeared." His eyes met hers, dark and intense. "Did you really think you could hide my baby from me?" "I was not hiding the baby. I was hiding me." She tried to step back, but his arms came around her, holding her trapped against his chest. "You cannot just show up and expect everything to be fine, Dayan. I am not expecting anything to be fine." His voice dropped lower, dangerous and seductive at the same time. "I am expecting you to stop running. I am expecting you to come back to Atlanta with me where you belong. And I am expecting you to let me spend the rest of my life making up for being too afraid to tell you the truth. And if I refuse..." A dark smile curved his lips. "Then I will follow you wherever you go. I will show up at your job, your apartment, every coffee shop you visit. I will make sure every man who looks at you knows exactly who you belong to." His hand slid up her spine, leaving fire in its wake. "I will wear you down until you admit you still want me as much as I want you." "I hate you," Sarah whispered, but her body was betraying her, leaning into his touch. "Good." He kissed down her neck, his teeth grazing her pulse point. "Hate me when I am inside you. Hate me while I am making you scream my name. Hate me while I am proving to you that you belong with me." The words sent heat flooding through her body. This was wrong. She should push him away. She should walk out that door and never look back. But 6 months apart had not killed the fire between them. If anything, it burned hotter now. "Just this once," she breathed. "Then I am leaving again." Dayan's smile was wicked. "We will see about that." He kissed her again, deeper this time, his hands exploring her body like he was memorizing every change. Sarah gave in to the heat, to the desire that had been haunting her dreams for months. Tomorrow she could regret this. Tomorrow she could run again. But tonight she would let herself burn. His hands found the zipper of her dress, sliding it down slowly, while his mouth did sinful things to her neck. "I have dreamed about this every night," he murmured against her skin, "about having you again, feeling you, tasting you." Sarah's fingers worked at the buttons of his shirt, desperate to feel his skin. "This does not change anything." "Keep telling yourself that." He lifted her, and her legs wrapped around his waist instinctively. The wall was cool against her back as he pressed against her, letting her feel exactly how much he wanted her. But we both know the truth. You are mine, Serafina. You have always been mine. She wanted to argue, but then his mouth was on hers again, and all thoughts scattered. There was only sensation, only heat, only the two of them and the explosive chemistry that had drawn them together from the first moment they met. What happened next was desperate and intense. Months of separation and longing poured into every touch and kiss. They came together, like a storm, all thunder and lightning and raw power. Sarah forgot why she had run. She forgot her anger and hurt. There was only Dayan and the way he made her feel alive. Afterward, as they caught their breath, reality began creeping back in. Sierra's dress was ruined, her lipstick smeared, her carefully built walls crumbling. Dayan held her like she might vanish again, his face buried in her neck. "Come home with me," he said quietly. "I cannot." "Why not?" "Because this is just chemistry, Dayan. Physical attraction. It is not enough to build a life on." She pushed at his chest, and reluctantly he let her go. Her legs were shaky as she found her footing. He caught her hand before she could move away. Then, "Let me prove it is more. Give me a chance to show you that what I feel is real. And when your enemies find out about me, about the baby, what then?" His jaw tightened. "I will kill anyone who tries to hurt you." "That is exactly what I am afraid of." Sarah pulled her hand free and grabbed her purse. "I do not want to live in a world of violence and danger. I want my child to grow up safe. Our child will be safest with me protecting you both." She paused at the door, looking back at him. He looked wrecked, his shirt unbuttoned, his hair messy from her fingers, his eyes desperate. Part of her wanted to go back to him, but the smart part, the part that had kept her alive these 6 months, knew better. "Goodbye, Dayan." She walked out before he could stop her, before she could change her mind. But as she disappeared into the crowd, she knew this was not really goodbye. Dayan did not give up on things he wanted, and he wanted her. 3 days later, Sarah was elbow deep in soapy water at the diner where she worked the morning shift. The breakfast rush had just ended, leaving a mountain of dishes and her feet aching. Her other job at the convenience store started in 4 hours, which gave her just enough time to eat something and maybe rest for 20 minutes. This was her life now, working 2 jobs in Baltimore, living in a tiny apartment above a laundromat, saving every penny for the baby coming in 3 months. It was exhausting and lonely, but it was safe. Nobody here knew about her connection to the Korean Mafia. Nobody knew her father had tried to trade her like cattle to strengthen his own criminal empire back in Eritrea. She was just Sarah, the quiet waitress who worked hard and kept to herself. The diner door chimed, signaling a customer. "Sorry, we are closed until lunch," Sarah called out, without turning around. "Even for me?" Her hands froze in the dishwater. That voice, that deep, smooth voice that had haunted her dreams since the club 3 nights ago. Slowly, she turned around. Dayan stood in the empty diner like he owned it, dressed in another expensive suit that probably cost more than she made in 6 months. His eyes locked on her, and even from across the room, she could feel the pull between them. "How did you find me?" A slight smile curved his lips. "I told you. I know everything about you." He walked closer, his movements graceful and predatory. "You work here from 6 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. Then you work at Sam's convenience store from 6 at night until midnight. You live above Happy Sud's laundromat in apartment 3B. You eat lunch at the Chinese restaurant on the corner every Tuesday and Thursday because they have a discount special." Sarah's heart pounded. "You have been watching me." Protecting you, he corrected. Do you have any idea how dangerous it is for you to be out here alone? Pregnant with my child. If my enemies find you before I secured your safety, they would use you to destroy me. Maybe I do not want your protection. She dried her hands on her apron, trying to look braver than she felt. Maybe I just want to be left alone. Too bad. He stopped in front of her, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. I am not leaving you alone, Serafina. Not now. Not ever. You cannot just show up at my work and demand things from me. Watch me. He reached out and tucked a loose curl behind her ear, the gesture oddly gentle. You look tired. Are you eating enough? Getting enough rest? The concern in his voice made her throat tight. I am fine. You are working yourself to death. His eyes swept over her, taking in the exhaustion she could not hide. How much did you sleep last night? 4 hours? 5? That is none of your business. Everything about you is my business. His hand moved to her stomach, pressing gently against the bump that was becoming harder to hide. Everything about my child is my business, and right now, my business is making sure you both are taken care of. Sarah stepped back, breaking the contact. I can take care of myself. I know you can. You are the strongest woman I have ever met. Something flickered in his eyes, something that looked almost like admiration. But you should not have to do this alone. Come back to Atlanta with me. Let me give you everything you need. I do not want your money, Dayan. Then what do you want? He moved closer again, backing her against the counter. Tell me what you want, and I will give it to you. I want you to prove that I am more than a business arrangement. The words came out before she could stop them. I want you to prove that you actually care about me, not just the baby. His eyes darkened. You want proof? Yes. What happened next took her completely by surprise. Dayan dropped to his knees in front of her, his hands gentle on her hips. He pressed his forehead against her stomach, his voice rough when he spoke. I have never begged for anything in my life. I take what I want, I command, and people obey. But I am begging you, Serafina. Please come home with me. Please let me take care of you. Please give me a chance to show you that you are not just business to me. You are everything. Sarah's hands shook as she touched his hair. This powerful, dangerous man was on his knees for her. Dayan. He looked up at her, and the raw emotion in his eyes nearly broke her. I am in love with you. I have been since the first time I saw you. When your father brought you to that meeting and you looked at me like I was a monster, I wanted to prove to you that I could be more than the cold killer everyone thinks I am. But I failed. I hid my feelings because I was afraid, and I lost you because of it. You really mean that? Every word. He stood slowly, his hands never leaving her body. Let me prove it. Give me 1 week. Come back to Atlanta for 1 week. And if you still want to leave after that, I will let you go. I will set you up somewhere safe with enough money that you never have to work 2 jobs again. But please, just give me 1 week to show you who I really am. Sarah's mind raced. 1 week, 7 days with Dayan. It was dangerous. She knew if she went with him, her heart would be at risk all over again. But looking into his eyes, seeing the desperate honesty there, she found herself wavering. 1 week, she heard herself say, but I am sleeping in my own room, and if I feel uncomfortable or unsafe at any point, I am leaving. Relief flooded his face. Deal. I need to finish my shift first. Quit. He pulled out his phone. I will call your boss right now and tell him you are done. I am not quitting. I need this job. No, you do not. He was already dialing. You have me now. You will never need to scrub dishes or work until midnight again. Dayan, stop. She grabbed his phone, but he held it out of reach. They struggled for a moment, and then, suddenly, she was pressed against his chest, his free arm around her waist. "Let me take care of you," he said softly. "Please, it is killing me watching you work yourself to exhaustion when I could give you everything. But what happens when the week is over and I leave? Then I will have no job and no money." "You are not going to leave." He said it with such confidence that it annoyed her. "You do not know that." "Yes, I do." He leaned down, his lips brushing her ear. "Because by the end of this week, you are going to remember why you fell for me in the first place. You are going to remember how good we are together, and you are going to choose to stay. You are very sure of yourself. I am sure of us." He pulled back to look at her. "Now, are you going to quit properly? Or am I calling your boss?" Sarah sighed. She knew she was making a mistake, knew she was setting herself up for heartbreak. But she was tired of working 2 jobs, tired of being alone, tired of pretending she did not miss him. "Fine, 1 week, but I am telling my boss myself." 20 minutes later, Sarah found herself in the back of Dayan's luxury car, watching Baltimore disappear behind them. He had insisted on driving her to the apartment to pack, then personally carried her 2 small suitcases down to the car. Now they were heading to the private airport where his jet waited. "This is crazy," she muttered, staring out the window. "Crazy is letting you live in that apartment when you should be in a mansion." He reached over and took her hand, threading their fingers together. "Crazy is letting you work yourself to death when you should be resting and preparing for the baby. Crazy is spending another night without you when I could have you in my arms." His thumb rubbed circles on her palm, and Sarah hated how good it felt. How right. She had missed this connection between them, this electric pull that made everything else fade away. "What if this does not work?" she asked quietly. "It will work." He lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. "I am going to make sure of it." The flight to Atlanta was smooth. Dayan's private jet was ridiculously luxurious, with leather seats that reclined into beds and a staff that brought her food without being asked. He watched her eat with an intensity that made her self-conscious. "What?" she asked around a bite of fruit. "You are more beautiful than I remembered." His eyes travelled over her face like he was memorising every detail. "I thought maybe I had built you up in my mind, made you into something impossible, but no, you are even more perfect than my memories." Heat crept up her neck. "Stop." "Stop what?" "Telling you the truth?" He moved to sit beside her, his thigh pressing against hers. "I am done hiding how I feel, Serafina. If you are going to be in my home for a week, you are going to hear me say things like this constantly. You might as well get used to it. I do not know if I can trust you. Then I will earn your trust back." His hand covered hers again. "Whatever it takes, however long it takes." They landed in Atlanta as the sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. Another car waited on the tarmac, and soon they were driving through the city toward the outskirts where the wealthy lived. Dayan's mansion sat on 10 acres of protected land, surrounded by high walls and security cameras. "This is your home." Sarah stared at the massive house as they pulled up the circular driveway. "This is our home," he corrected, "for the next week at least, hopefully forever." Staff members appeared to take her bags, and Dayan led her inside. The mansion was beautiful but cold, all modern lines and expensive art. It felt like a museum, not a home. "Your room is upstairs," he said, guiding her up a grand staircase. "I had it prepared when I found out you were coming." He opened a door to reveal a bedroom bigger than her entire apartment. A king-sized bed dominated the space, covered in soft-looking blankets. One wall was entirely windows, overlooking the gardens. Another door led to a private bathroom with a tub big enough for 3 people. "This is too much," Sarah breathed. "This is the guest suite. My room is down the hall if you need anything." He set her bags on a bench at the foot of the bed. "There are clothes in the closet that should fit you, maternity clothes. I had my assistant order them." "You bought me clothes? You should not have to wear the same 3 outfits over and over." He moved closer, his hand coming up to cup her cheek. "Let me spoil you, Serafina. Let me give you all the things you deserve." She should pull away, should maintain some distance, but his touch felt so good, and she was tired of being strong all the time. "1 week," she reminded him, "1 week to convince you to stay forever." He leaned in slowly, giving her time to stop him. When she did not, his lips met hers in a kiss that was softer than the one at the club, sweeter, full of promise instead of desperation. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark with want. "Dinner is at 7. I will let you rest until then." He headed for the door, but paused with his hand on the handle. "And Serafina, I am really glad you are here." Then he was gone, leaving her alone in the beautiful room with her racing heart and confused feelings. This was going to be the longest week of her life. The next 5 days fell into a surprising rhythm. Sarah woke each morning to find breakfast waiting in her room. Fresh fruit, warm bread, everything she could want. Dayan would appear around 9, dressed for business, and spend an hour with her before leaving to handle his empire. He always asked about the baby, pressed his hand to her stomach, hoping to feel movement, and kissed her cheek before leaving. Afternoons, she had the mansion to herself. She explored the gardens, read in the library, and video called her best friend back in Eritrea, who screamed with joy to hear she was finally talking to the baby's father. The staff treated her like a queen, anticipating her every need before she could ask. Evenings were for Dayan. He would return home around 6, shower, and join her for dinner. They talked about everything except the future. He told her stories from his childhood in Korea, before his mother died and his world went dark. She told him about growing up in Eritrea, about her love of cooking and her dream of opening a restaurant someday. "I will buy you a restaurant," he said over dinner on the 5th night. "Wherever you want, whatever kind. That is not the point." Sarah laughed, shaking her head. "I want to build it myself, earn it." "Why earn it when I can give it to you?" "Because things mean more when you work for them." He studied her across the table, something soft in his expression. "You are going to teach me so much." After dinner, they would move to the living room. Sometimes they watched movies, sometimes they just talked, and sometimes, when the tension between them got too strong, they would kiss until they were both breathless. But Dayan never pushed for more. He seemed content to take things slow, to rebuild trust before anything else. Sarah found herself falling again, falling deeper than before. This version of Dayan, open and honest and gentle, was impossible to resist. On the 6th day, everything changed. Sarah woke up not feeling great. Her back hurt, and the baby was moving more than usual. She decided to take it easy, spending the morning reading in the garden. Around 11, she got hungry and remembered a small cafe she had noticed in the shopping district nearby. She told the security team she wanted to go out for lunch. They looked uncertain, but finally agreed to drive her. 30 minutes later, she was sitting in a cozy cafe, enjoying a sandwich and fruit smoothie, when a man approached her table. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" Sarah looked up at the handsome stranger. He had kind eyes and an easy smile. "Oh no, go ahead. Thanks. This place gets packed during lunch." He sat down with his coffee. "I am Brandon, by the way." "Syrah. Beautiful name." He took a sip of his coffee. Are you new to Atlanta? I have not seen you around here before. Just visiting, she said carefully. They fell into easy conversation. Brandon was a doctor at the local hospital, specialising in paediatrics. When he noticed her baby bump, he got excited talking about his work with newborns. He was sweet and funny, and for a little while, Sarah forgot about complicated mafia bosses and dangerous feelings. You know, I am actually looking for a good obstetrician for when the baby comes, she found herself saying. Do you have any recommendations? Absolutely. My colleague Dr. Patterson is amazing. Here, let me give you her card. He pulled out his wallet. And if you want, I could introduce you. Maybe we could meet up later this week. That would be really helpful, thank you. They exchanged phone numbers, and Brandon insisted on paying for her lunch. As they walked out of the cafe together, laughing about something silly, Sarah felt lighter than she had in months. It was nice to talk to someone normal, someone who was not involved in crime or danger. Then she saw the car. Dayan's black SUV sat at the curb, and he leaned against it with his arms crossed. Even from across the street, she could see the tension in his body. His eyes were locked on her and Brandon, and the look on his face made her stomach drop. Oh no, she breathed. What's wrong? Brandon followed her gaze. Friend of yours? Something like that. She forced a smile. Thank you for lunch and the recommendation. I should go. Sure. Call me any time. Brandon waved cheerfully, completely oblivious to the danger radiating from the man across the street. Sarah crossed over to Dayan, her heart pounding. Up close, she could see the muscle ticking in his jaw, the darkness in his eyes. He looked like he wanted to murder someone. Get in the car, he said quietly, too quietly. Dayan, let me explain. Get in the car. She knew that tone, knew better than to argue when he used it. Sarah climbed into the back seat, and Dayan slid in beside her. The privacy screen was already up, blocking the driver from seeing them. The moment the car started moving, he turned to her. Who was that? Just someone I met at the cafe. Just someone. His voice was deadly soft. You exchanged numbers with just someone. He is a doctor. He was giving me a recommendation for an obstetrician. A doctor? Dayan laughed, but there was no humour in it. You gave your phone number to another man. It was not like that. Then what was it like, Serafina? Because from where I was standing, it looked like you were on a date. That is ridiculous. I was just having lunch. Without telling me, without your security team watching you properly, anything could have happened to you. His hand slammed against the seat, making her jump. Do you have any idea what went through my mind when my men called and said you had left the property? When I drove all over looking for you and finally saw you laughing with some other man? You are being irrational. I am being irrational. He moved closer, his eyes blazing. I am trying to protect you, and you are running around the city giving your number to strangers. He is not a stranger. He is a paediatrician. I do not care if he is the damn president. Dayan's control finally snapped. You are mine, Serafina. Mine. Not his. Not anyone else's. Mine. I am not a possession. No. You are the woman carrying my child, the woman I am in love with, the woman I would burn down the entire city for. He grabbed her face, forcing her to look at him, and watching you smile at him the way you smile at me nearly drove me insane. So what? I am supposed to never talk to another man, never have friends. Talk to whoever you want, but do not look at them like that. Do not laugh like that. Do not give them your number like that. His thumb brushed her lips. That belongs to me. All of it belongs to me. You are being possessive and controlling. Yes. He did not even try to deny it. When it comes to you, I am both those things and worse. I warned you who I am, Serafina. I am not a good man. I am selfish and jealous and dangerous, and I do not share what is mine. Sarah's breath came fast. She should be angry, should tell him off for being so unreasonable. But the raw intensity in his eyes, the desperate edge to his voice, sent heat flooding through her instead. "This is exactly why I ran," she whispered. "You are too much, too intense, too everything. I know." His forehead pressed against hers. "I know I am too much, but I cannot help it. Not with you. You make me crazy. You make me feel things I have never felt before, and it terrifies me and thrills me and drives me absolutely insane. Day one." "Tell me you did not feel anything for him." His hands slid into her hair. "Tell me that smile was just being polite. Tell me I am the only one who makes you feel alive. You know you are. Then show me." It was almost a plea. "Show me I have not lost you. Show me you still want this. Want me." She should say no. Should maintain boundaries. But looking at him, seeing the jealousy and fear and desperate need in his eyes, she could not resist. Sarah kissed him first this time, pressed her lips to his, and poured everything into it, all her confusion and fear and desire. Day one groaned against her mouth, his arms wrapping around her and pulling her as close as her pregnant belly would allow. The kiss turned hungry fast. His hands were everywhere, relearning her body, claiming her all over again. She tugged at his shirt, wanting to feel his skin. He pulled her onto his lap, and even through their clothes, she could feel how much he wanted her. "We are in a car," she gasped when his mouth moved to her neck. "I do not care." His teeth grazed her pulse point. "I need you right now. Need to feel you. Need to remember you are mine." The driver cannot see or hear anything. His hands found the zipper of her dress. "Say yes, Serafina. Let me love you. Let me show you how crazy you make me." She knew it was a bad idea, knew she was supposed to be keeping distance, but her body was on fire and she wanted him just as desperately as he wanted her. Yes. What followed was intense and passionate and completely overwhelming. Daewon loved her like a man possessed, like he was trying to brand himself onto her soul. Every touch was claiming, every kiss was a promise, and when they finally came together, it felt like coming home. Afterward, they stayed tangled together, both breathing hard. Daewon kept pressing kisses to her shoulder, her neck, her face, like he could not stop touching her. "Promise me something," he said quietly. "What?" "Promise me you will not leave after tomorrow." Tomorrow was day 7, the end of their agreement. She was supposed to decide if she was staying or going. Day 1. "I know I said I would let you go if you wanted, but I lied." He pulled back to look at her, his eyes intense. "I cannot let you go, Serafina. I will die before I let you walk away again. So please, just promise me you will stay, that you will give us a real chance." "What about the danger? Your enemies?" "I will protect you. I will protect both of you with my life." His hand covered her stomach. "Just stay, please." Sarah wanted to say yes, wanted to promise him forever. But before she could answer, his phone rang. He ignored it the first time, but then it rang again immediately, and his expression darkened. "I have to take this." He answered with a sharp, "What?" She watched his face change as he listened, watched the colour drain from his skin. When he hung up, his hands were shaking. "What is wrong?" "Get dressed," he said, his voice hollow. "We need to get back to the house. Now." "What happened?" "Someone just tried to break into the mansion." His eyes met hers, full of fear. "They were looking for you." The mansion looked like a war zone when they pulled up. Security vehicles blocked the driveway, and men in black suits swarmed the grounds with guns drawn. Sarah's heart pounded as Daewon hurried her inside, his hand protective on her back. "What happened?" He barked at the head of security. 3 men tried to breach the east wall. They had photos of Ms. Serafina. We stopped them before they got inside, but they got away. The man's face was grim. We captured one alive, though. He is in the basement. Daewon's jaw clenched. I will deal with him later. Increase security. I want 24-hour guards on Serafina's room. Nobody gets in or out without my permission. Already done, sir. He nodded and turned to Sarah. Pack your things. We are moving you to the secure wing. The what? The panic room section of the house. It is completely fortified. Bulletproof walls, separate security system, the works. He guided her toward the stairs. You will be safe there. Sarah's hands trembled as she threw her few belongings into a bag. This was real. People were actually trying to hurt her because of Daewon. The baby kicked hard, as if sensing her fear, and she pressed a hand to her stomach. It is okay, she whispered. We are okay. But were they? Would they ever truly be safe in this world? Daewon appeared in the doorway. Ready? She nodded, and he led her through the mansion to a section she had never seen before. Behind a bookshelf was a hidden door that opened to a long hallway. At the end was another door with a keypad. He entered a code, and it swung open to reveal an apartment-sized space. This is where you will stay until I figure out who is after you and eliminate the threat, he said. The secure wing was luxurious, but felt like a cage. A bedroom, bathroom, small kitchen, and sitting area. No windows, just screens showing security camera feeds from around the property. How long will I have to stay here? Sarah asked. As long as it takes. He cupped her face, his expression tortured. I am so sorry. This is exactly what I was afraid of. My world touching you, putting you in danger. This is not your fault. Yes, it is. He pressed his forehead to hers. Everything I touch turns dark. I should have let you go when you ran, should have stayed away and kept you safe. Stop! She grabbed his wrists. I made the choice to come here, to give us a chance. I knew the risks. Knowing and experiencing are different things. He pulled back, his eyes haunted. I need to go question the man we captured, find out who sent him, but I will be back soon. Okay? Okay. He kissed her hard, desperately, like he was afraid it might be the last time. Then he was gone, the heavy door sealing shut behind him. Sarah sank onto the couch, her hand on her belly. The baby was still moving, tumbling and kicking. What have I gotten us into? She whispered. An hour later, the door opened again. Sarah jumped up, expecting Daewon. Instead, a beautiful Korean woman glided in wearing a designer dress and expensive jewelry. Her hair was perfect, her makeup flawless, her eyes cold as ice. So you are the runaway bride, the woman said, looking Sarah up and down. I expected someone more impressive. Who are you? My name is Sunhi Park. The woman smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. Daewon's fiancé. The words hit like a punch to the gut. His what? Did he not tell you? Sunhi moved closer, her heels clicking on the floor. Our families arranged our marriage years ago. Just because he had a temporary distraction with you does not change that. That is a lie. He would have told me. Would he? Sunhi raised an eyebrow. Men like Daewon do not share everything, darling. They tell you what you need to hear to get what they want. Sarah's mind raced. Was this true? Had Daewon been lying to her about everything? I can see you doubt me. Sunhi pulled out her phone and showed Sarah a photo. It was Daewon at some formal event. His arm around Sunhi, both of them smiling for the camera. This was taken 2 months ago at a family dinner. While you were hiding from him, he was with me. Get out. Excuse me. I said get out. Sarah moved toward the door. Security. But Sunhi just laughed. They will not come. I told them I was here on family business. I am, after all, part of the family. She moved toward the exit. Enjoy your little cage, Serafina. When Dayan gets bored of playing house, you will be forgotten. Women like you always are. The door closed, leaving Sarah alone with her spiralling thoughts. The photo kept replaying in her mind. Dayan's arm around another woman 2 months ago, while she had been working herself to death in Baltimore, missing him. Had he been moving on with Sunhi? She was still sitting there, numb. When Dayan returned several hours later, one look at her face and he froze. What happened? Is it true? Her voice sounded hollow even to her own ears. Are you engaged to Sunhi Park? Every muscle in his body went rigid. Who told you that? She did. She was here. Sarah stood up, wrapping her arms around herself. She showed me a photo. You and her together, 2 months ago. Serafina, let me explain. So it is true. No. I mean, yes, our families arranged something years ago, but I never agreed to it. I do not want her, I want you. Then why did she have a photo of you two together looking like a couple? Dayan ran his hands through his hair, frustration rolling off him. It was a business dinner. My uncle insisted I attend with her to keep up appearances. I was trying to use family connections to search for you. So, you dated her while looking for me. I did not date her. I stood next to her for some pictures because my uncle threatened to cut off resources I needed to find you if I did not cooperate. He moved closer. Every second I was with her, I was thinking about you, missing you, desperate to find you. How am I supposed to believe that? Because I am telling you the truth. His voice rose. When have I lied to you, Serafina? You lied about the marriage being just business. To protect you. Everything I have ever done has been to protect you. He grabbed her shoulders gently. Please, do not let her poison what we have. She is just trying to break us apart. Maybe we should be apart. The words hurt to say, but Sarah forced them out. Maybe your world is too dangerous, too complicated, too full of lies and people trying to hurt each other. So what? You are going to run again. Pain flashed across his face. You are going to take my child and disappear. I am going to do what is best for my baby. Our baby! He was nearly shouting now. Stop acting like you are alone in this. I am here. I am trying. I love you. Love is not enough. Sarah felt tears streaming down her face. Love does not protect us from your enemies. Love does not make Sunhi disappear. Love does not fix anything. Dayan looked like she had stabbed him. His hands dropped from her shoulders, and he took a step back. So, that is it. You have already made up your mind. I do not know what I think anymore. She wiped at her tears. I just need space. I need to think clearly without you here making me feel things that cloud my judgment. Fine. His voice went cold, the mask she hated sliding back into place. I will give you space, but know this, Serafina. I am not giving up on us. I will fix this. I will make you see that we belong together. He headed for the door, but paused. And for the record, the moment I found you in that club, I told Sunhi and my uncle that I would never marry her, that I would rather die than be with anyone but you. She is here playing games, trying to win what she already lost. Do not let her win. He left, the door closing with a definitive click. Sarah collapsed on the couch, sobbing. Everything was falling apart. Her heart told her to trust Dayan, to believe his words and fight for what they had. But her head kept showing her that photo, kept reminding her of all the danger and lies and complications. The baby kicked hard, like a protest. Sarah placed both hands on her stomach. I know, she whispered. I know you want your daddy, but I have to keep us safe, even if it breaks my heart. She cried herself to sleep that night, alone in her beautiful cage, wondering if she had just made the biggest mistake of her life. Sarah woke to the sound of someone entering her room. She sat up quickly, heart racing, but relaxed when she saw it was just a maid bringing breakfast. The woman set down a tray and handed her an envelope. From Mr. Yoon. The maid said quietly before leaving. Sarah stared at the envelope for a long moment before opening it. Inside was a handwritten letter. Serafina, I know you need space, and I am trying to give it to you. But I cannot let another day pass without you knowing the truth. Today, my uncle and Sunhi are coming to the house. I am going to end this once and for all, publicly and permanently. I want you to watch the security feed from the main living room at noon. See with your own eyes where I stand. See who I choose. Always, it will be you. Always. Dayan. She looked at the clock. 11:30. Her hands shook as she turned on the security monitors and found the feed for the main living room. Empty now, but she kept watching. At exactly noon, people started arriving. Dayan entered first, his face hard and cold. Then came an older Korean man who had to be his uncle, followed by Sunhi in another designer outfit. Several other family members filed in after them. Sarah turned up the volume so she could hear. Thank you for coming, Dayan said, his voice formal. I have called you here to make an announcement. If this is about that African girl you have been hiding, his uncle started, but Dayan cut him off. Her name is Serafina. And yes, this is about her. He looked directly at Sunhi. I need to make something clear to everyone in this family. There will be no marriage between Sunhi and myself. Not now, not ever. Sunhi's face went pale. Dayan, you do not mean that. I mean every word. He turned to face the group. 6 months ago, I was supposed to marry Serafina. She ran because she thought our marriage was just a business arrangement, because I was too afraid to tell her the truth. But I am done being afraid. I am done hiding how I feel. This is ridiculous, his uncle snapped. You cannot throw away decades of planning for some girl you barely know. I know her better than I know myself. Dayan's voice was steel. I know she takes her tea with honey, not sugar. I know she hums when she cooks. I know she is terrified of thunderstorms, but pretends not to be. I know she works harder than anyone I have ever met. I know she is carrying my child, and I know I would rather die than spend another day without her. A child? Sunhi's voice was shrill. She trapped you with a pregnancy. She did not trap me. I am honoured that she is having my baby. He looked at Sunhi with something like pity. I am sorry if you feel hurt by this, but I never loved you. I never wanted you, and I never will. My heart belongs to Serafina, and that will never change. The family will not accept this, his uncle roared. Then I will leave the family. The words echoed in the room. If you cannot accept the woman I love and our child, then I do not need your name or your money or your empire. I will build my own life with her. Silence fell. Everyone looked shocked. Sarah felt tears streaming down her face as she watched. Dayan's uncle spoke slowly, carefully. You would give up everything, your position, your power, your inheritance, all for this woman? In a heartbeat. Dayan did not even hesitate. She is worth more than all of it combined. His uncle stared at him for a long moment, then started laughing. You really do love her? More than anything. Then I suppose there is nothing more to discuss. The old man stood. If you are willing to walk away from everything for her, then she must be truly special. I will respect your choice, nephew, though your father is probably rolling in his grave. My father was a fool who never understood love. Dayan's voice softened. I will not make his mistakes. Sunhi stood abruptly. This is not over, Dayan. You will regret choosing her over me. The only thing I regret is not choosing her sooner." He held the door open. "Goodbye, Sunhi. I hope you find someone who can love you the way you deserve, but that person will never be me." She stormed out, and the other family members slowly filed after her. Only his uncle remained. "Does she know you just did this?" he asked. "She is watching." Dayan looked directly at the security camera, as if he could see Sarah through it. "I hope she understands that I meant every word." His uncle clapped him on the shoulder. "For what it is worth, I think you made the right choice. Bring her to dinner next week. Let me meet the woman who tamed the cold dragon." Then he too left, and Dayan was alone in the room. He stared at the camera for a long moment, and Sarah saw everything in his eyes: love, hope, fear, desperation. She was up and moving before she could think. Out the door of the secure room, down the hallway, through the mansion. She did not care about security or danger or anything except getting to him. He was still standing in the living room when she burst through the door. Their eyes met across the space, and time seemed to stop. "You gave up everything," she whispered. "No." He moved toward her slowly. "I gave up nothing, because without you, I already had nothing that mattered." Dayan! She was crying again, but this time from relief and joy and overwhelming emotion. "I love you, Serafina." He stopped in front of her, his hands gentle on her face. "I am in love with you. I will always be in love with you. And I am done pretending that you are anything less than my entire world. I love you too." The words burst out of her. "I have loved you since the beginning, even when I ran, even when I was angry. I never stopped loving you." He kissed her then, and it was different from every other kiss. This one was a promise, a commitment, a forever sealed between them. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Dayan dropped to his knees, his hands pressed against her stomach, his forehead resting there. "Marry me," he said quietly, "not because our families arranged it, not for business or power or anything except love. Marry me because you want to, because you love me, because we are meant to be together." "Yes." Sarah's hands tangled in his hair. "Yes, I will marry you." He looked up at her, and she saw tears in his eyes. This strong, dangerous man was crying for her, for them. "I am going to spend every day of the rest of my life proving I am worthy of you," he said. "You already are." She pulled him up and kissed him again. "You already are." They spent the rest of the day wrapped in each other, making up for lost time. Dayan carried her to his room, the master suite she had never seen, and loved her with a gentleness that made her cry. Every touch was reverent, every kiss was worship. This was not the desperate coupling from before. This was two people who had chosen each other against all odds, celebrating that choice. Afterward, lying in his arms, Sarah felt truly safe for the first time in months. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we plan a wedding." He pressed a kiss to her temple. "And we prepare for our daughter." "Daughter? How do you know it is a girl?" "Just a feeling." His hand rubbed slow circles on her belly. "She will be beautiful like you, strong like you, perfect. What if it is a boy? Then he will be beautiful like you, strong like you, and perfect." Dayan smiled. "I do not care as long as you are both healthy and safe." "I am sorry I doubted you." "Do not apologize. I gave you reason to doubt." He tilted her face up to his. "But I will never give you reason again. From now on, complete honesty, complete trust. No more hiding, no more running," she promised. "No more running." They sealed the promise with another kiss, and Sarah knew in her heart that this was real. They had been tested and survived. Now came the beautiful part. Now came forever. 1 week later, Sarah stood in front of the mirror in a white dress, her hand resting on her 8-month pregnant belly. Tomorrow was the wedding, a small ceremony with just close friends and Daewon's uncle. They had decided not to wait. Neither of them wanted to spend another day not officially bound together. "You look like an angel," Daewon said from the doorway. She turned to see him leaning there, his eyes full of warmth. He had been like this all week, soft and open, in a way she never imagined possible. The cold Mafia boss had melted, leaving the man underneath, the man she loved desperately. "You are not supposed to see me before the wedding," she teased. "We are breaking all the rules anyway." He moved into the room and pulled her into his arms, careful of her belly. "Besides, I could not stay away. I missed you, and it has only been 2 hours since breakfast. You are going to spoil me. That is the plan." He kissed her forehead. "Are you happy?" "Happier than I ever thought possible." They stood there swaying slightly, lost in their own world. The baby kicked, making them both laugh. Daewon dropped to his knees and kissed her belly. "Tomorrow your mama and I are getting married," he told the baby. "And then we are going to be a real family." Sarah ran her fingers through his hair, overwhelmed with emotion. This was everything she wanted, everything she had dreamed of during those lonely months away. Then the alarms started blaring. Daewon was on his feet in an instant, his entire demeanour changing. The cold, dangerous boss was back. "Stay here," he ordered, already moving toward the door. "What is happening? Breach in security." He pressed a button on his phone. "Lock down her room. Nobody gets in except me. Daewon, wait." But he was already gone. The door slammed shut, and she heard the electronic locks engage. Heavy footsteps ran past in the hallway, shouting, the sound of gunfire in the distance. Sarah's heart raced. The baby kicked frantically, sensing her fear. She moved away from the windows, her phone clutched in her hand. The minutes felt like hours. More gunshots, breaking glass. Then silence. Heavy, awful silence. Her phone rang, making her jump. Unknown number. She almost did not answer, but something made her. "Hello? Serafina." The voice was cold, unfamiliar. "How nice to finally speak with you. Who is this?" "Someone who has been very patient, but my patience has run out." The man paused. "Your fiancé took something from me, territory that was mine, and now I am going to take something from him." Ice flooded her veins. "What do you want?" "I want you to walk downstairs to the front entrance, alone. If you do, I will let everyone else in this house live. If you refuse, I will kill them all, starting with Daewon." "You are lying." "Am I?" There was a sound of something being dragged. Then Daewon's voice, strained with pain. "Serafina, do not listen. Stay where you are. Daewon!" Tears streamed down her face. "You have 5 minutes to decide," the man said. "Your life for his. Seems like a fair trade." The line went dead. Sarah stood frozen, her mind racing. If she stayed, they would kill Daewon. If she went, she might die, and the baby with her. There was no good choice, no way to win. But there was only one choice she could make. She moved to the door and overrode the locks, using the emergency code Daewon had given her. The hallway was empty, eerily silent. She made her way downstairs, each step feeling like a march to her death. The front entrance was destroyed, broken glass everywhere, blood on the marble floor, and in the centre of it all, Daewon knelt with a gun to his head. "Sarah, no!" he shouted when he saw her. "Go back." "I cannot." She walked forward, her hands shaking. "Let him go. I am here like you wanted." The man holding the gun smiled. He was older, scarred, with dead eyes. How noble. True love willing to die for each other. How touching. Let him go, Sarah repeated. You have me. That is what you wanted. True, but I think I will keep you both. His smile widened. Kill you both in front of each other. Make it hurt more. Daewon surged up, trying to fight, but 3 men grabbed him. He struggled viciously, but they held him down. Sarah watched in horror as they beat him, blood pouring from his mouth. Stop! She screamed. Stop hurting him! Then come here. The man gestured with his gun. On your knees next to him. She moved forward, her legs weak. This was it. They were going to die. Her and the baby and Daewon, all because she had fallen in love with the wrong man. But just as she reached Daewon's side, just as the man raised his gun, the windows exploded inward. Men in tactical gear swarmed the room. Gunfire erupted. Sarah felt Daewon tackle her to the ground, his body covering hers and the baby. The fight was brutal and fast. Within minutes it was over. The bad men were either dead or restrained. The cavalry had arrived. Are you hurt? Daewon ran his hands over her frantically. The baby. We are okay. She touched his battered face. You are bleeding. I do not care. He pulled her against him, holding her so tight she could barely breathe. I thought I lost you. I thought they were going to kill you. I thought they were going to kill you. They held each other as emergency responders flooded the mansion. Medics tried to check them, but Daewon refused to let her go. His hands stayed on her stomach, feeling for movement, making sure the baby was still okay. Sir, we need to examine her, one medic said gently. Then do it here. Daewon's voice left no room for argument. I am not leaving her side. They checked her vitals while she sat in his lap. The baby was fine, heartbeat strong. Sarah was in shock but physically unharmed. Daewon had taken the worst of it, with cracked ribs and a split lip and various bruises. His uncle appeared, looking shaken. I came as soon as I heard. Is she all right? We are fine. Daewon stood carefully, keeping Sarah close. But this house is no longer safe. We are leaving. Tonight. Where will you go? Somewhere they will never find us. He looked down at Sarah. Pack only what you need. We leave in an hour. Later, in the car heading to the private airport, Sarah leaned against Daewon's shoulder. Where are we going? Charleston, South Carolina. I bought a house there last week, under a fake name. Nobody knows about it except us. He kissed her head. We will be safe there. You and our baby. What about the wedding? We will still get married, just somewhere safer. His hand found hers, and threading their fingers together. Nothing is going to stop me from making you my wife. At the airport, as they boarded the jet, Sarah looked back at Atlanta. Somewhere in that city were people who wanted her dead. People who would keep coming. Hey. Daewon turned her face to his. Do not look back. Only forward now. To our future. To our family. To our life together. She nodded, letting him lead her onto the plane. As they took off into the night sky, she felt the baby kick. Strong and steady. A fighter, just like her parents. They were going to survive this. They were going to build a life together, no matter what came next. But first, she had to survive childbirth in a strange city, far from any hospital she knew. The baby kicked again, harder this time, and Sarah felt a sudden rush of water between her legs. Daewon, she said quietly. My water just broke. His eyes went wide with panic. What? Now? We are on a plane. The baby does not care. She laughed through her fear. She is coming, ready or not. The pilot's voice crackled through the speaker. Sir, we can turn around and land back in Atlanta. No, Daewon said firmly, his hand gripping Sarah's. Too dangerous. How long until Charleston? 40 minutes. Then get us there in 30. He turned to Sarah, and she could see him struggling to stay calm. Breathe. Just breathe. We have got this. We have got this. You are not the one about to have a baby on a plane. But she tried to breathe through the contraction gripping her belly. Dayan called his contact in Charleston, a doctor he trusted. We need a hospital ready. My fiancé is in labour. He paused, listening. I do not care if you have to wake up the entire staff. Make it happen. The flight felt endless. Contractions came faster, harder, each one making Sarah cry out. Dayan stayed beside her, holding her hand, whispering words of encouragement. She had never seen him so scared. This powerful man who faced down enemies without flinching was terrified of childbirth. What if something goes wrong? He asked during one contraction. What if I lose you? You will not lose me. She squeezed his hand hard enough to hurt. I am too stubborn to die. You know this. He laughed, but it sounded like a sob. I love you so much. Tell me again when this is over and I am not in excruciating pain. They landed in Charleston with Sarah's contractions 5 minutes apart. An ambulance waited on the tarmac. The ride to the hospital was a blur of pain and fear, and Dayan's steady voice in her ear. You are the strongest person I know. You can do this. I am right here. I am not going anywhere. At the hospital, they rushed her into a delivery room. Dayan refused to leave, even when the nurses suggested he might want to wait outside. I am staying, he said in that tone that made people obey. She needs me, and she did need him. As labour intensified, as the pain became unbearable, he was her anchor. He held her hand. He let her scream at him. He wiped her tears and whispered words of love and encouragement. I hate you for doing this to me. She gasped between contractions. I know. You can hate me all you want. He kissed her forehead. As long as you keep breathing. Hours passed. The pain became a living thing, consuming her. The doctors said the baby was in distress. Her blood pressure was too high. They might need to do an emergency surgery. No, Sarah said firmly. I can do this. I can push. Serafina, listen to the doctors, Dayan pleaded. I said I can do this. She gritted her teeth. This baby is coming naturally if it kills me. That is exactly what I am afraid of. But she was done listening. Done being afraid. She pushed with everything she had, channeling all her pain and fear and love into bringing this baby into the world. And then, after what felt like a lifetime, a baby's cry filled the room. It is a girl, the doctor announced, holding up a tiny, perfect baby covered in vernix. Sarah sobbed with relief as they placed her daughter on her chest. The baby was beautiful. Dark skin like hers, a shock of black hair, and when she opened her eyes, they were the same shape as Dayan's. Our daughter, Dayan whispered, his voice breaking. Tears streamed down his face as he looked at them. Our perfect daughter. He leaned down and kissed Sarah's sweaty forehead, then gently touched the baby's tiny hand. The baby immediately grabbed his finger, holding on tight. She is perfect, Sarah breathed. She is so perfect. They spent the next few hours in a bubble of joy. The nurses cleaned up the baby and checked her over. 8 pounds, 2 ounces. Completely healthy despite the dramatic entry into the world. Sarah tried to nurse her, and after some struggling, the baby latched on. Dayan sat beside them, unable to look away. What should we name her? I was thinking about my grandmother's name, Merun. Merun. He tested it out. I love it. Merun Yoon, or Merun Desta Yoon. Desta is my family name. Merun Desta Yoon. He smiled. She is going to be trouble, I can already tell. She is as stubborn as her mother, and as intense as her father. Sarah laughed tiredly. We are in so much trouble. Later, after Sarah had been moved to a recovery room and Merrin was sleeping in a bassinet beside the bed, Dayan knelt beside them. Marry me, he said. Right now. Today. We just had a baby. I look terrible. You look beautiful. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Inside was a simple gold band. I had this made last week. I was going to give it to you tomorrow at the ceremony, but I do not want to wait anymore. I want to make you my wife now. Here. In a hospital room. Anywhere. Everywhere. As long as we are together. He took the ring out. Serafina Desta, will you marry me? Will you be my wife? My partner? My everything? She was crying again, but this time from happiness. Yes. Yes, I will marry you. He called in a nurse who happened to be a licensed officiant. She agreed to perform a quick ceremony. Dayan's uncle arrived just in time, having flown in on a separate plane, and served as witness. So there, in a hospital room in Charleston, still wearing a hospital gown and exhausted from childbirth, Sarah married the love of her life. There were no flowers or fancy clothes or big celebration, just two people promising forever while their baby slept nearby. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Dayan kissed her gently. Hello, Mrs. Yoon. Hello, Mr. Yoon. She smiled against his lips. I love you. I love you more. Not possible. They spent their wedding night in the hospital, taking turns holding Merrin, marvelling at what they had created. Every tiny feature, every small sound was a miracle. I never thought I could have this, Dayan admitted as he held his daughter. A family, love, peace. I thought I was too broken, too damaged by my past. You are not broken. Sarah reached out and touched his face. You are healing. We are healing each other. He looked at her with such love, it made her breath catch. You saved me, Serafina. In every way a person can be saved. We saved each other. Over the next few days, they settled into their new life. The house Dayan had bought was perfect, a charming historic home in Charleston's downtown with a nursery already set up and round-the-clock security that did not feel oppressive. How did you arrange all this in just a week? Sarah asked as they settled Merrin into her crib for the first time. I have connections. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, watching their daughter sleep. And I would do anything for you two. What about your business? Your empire in Atlanta? I am handing it over to my cousin. My uncle already approved it. He pressed a kiss to her neck. I am done with that life. I want to be legitimate, safe, boring even. Boring? Sarah laughed. With you? Never. But he was serious. Over the next month, he finalized the transfer of his criminal enterprises. He started a security company using his skills for legal protection instead of illegal operations. It was not easy walking away from so much power and money, but he never hesitated. This is what matters, he would say, holding Merrin while Sarah rested. You two are all that matters now. Sarah opened her cafe, a small place serving Eritrean coffee and food. It was a dream come true. Dayan hired staff, so she would not have to work too hard, and he loved to visit during the day, bringing Merrin to sit in the back office while Sarah worked. They were building a life, a real, normal, beautiful life, but Sarah still checked over her shoulder sometimes, still worried that danger would find them. Dayan noticed and pulled her close one evening as they watched the sunset from their porch. They are gone, he assured her. The men who wanted to hurt us. My uncle made sure of it. We are safe now. Really, truly safe. Promise? I promise. He turned her to face him. No more running, no more hiding, just us, our family, our future. Merrin started crying from inside, and they both laughed. Duty calls, Sarah said. Let me. Dayan went inside and came back carrying their daughter. She immediately settled in his arms, looking up at him with complete trust. Watching them together, Sarah felt her heart overflow. This was everything. This was worth every moment of fear and pain and doubt. I want more, she said suddenly. More what? More babies, more of this, more of us. Dayan grinned. How many more are we talking? At least 2, maybe 3. I can work with that. He leaned over and kissed her, careful not to jostle Meron. Let me know when you are ready to start trying. Maybe we wait until this one sleeps through the night first. Fair point. They stayed on the porch until the stars came out, a family of 3, planning their future. And for the first time since this whole journey began, Sarah felt nothing but peace and hope and joy. 6 months later, Sarah stood in her cafe watching the morning rush. The place was packed, as it usually was these days. People loved the unique coffee and authentic Eritrean food. She had hired 2 more staff members last month just to keep up with demand. Dayan appeared at the counter, Meron strapped to his chest in a carrier. Their daughter had grown so much, all chubby cheeks and curious eyes. She babbled when she saw Sarah, reaching out with grabby hands. Someone missed her mama, Dayan said, kissing Sarah's cheek. And so did I. You saw me 3 hours ago. But she was smiling as she reached out to touch Meron's soft hair. 3 hours too long. He stole another kiss. What time do you get off? 2. Why? Because it is our first anniversary, and I have plans. His eyes held that mischievous glint she loved. Our anniversary is not until next month. Anniversary of the day we met again, in that club in Baltimore. He leaned closer. 1 year since I found you dancing and looking so beautiful, I forgot how to breathe. Heat crept up her neck. You are ridiculous. I am in love. He kissed her properly this time, not caring that customers were watching. Go home at 2. I will have everything ready. He left with Meron, and Sarah finished her shift with butterflies in her stomach. What was he planning? At 2, she drove home to find flower petals leading from the front door through the house. She followed them to the master bedroom, where Dayan waited in slacks and a dress shirt, looking unfairly handsome. Where is Meron? With my uncle for the evening. We have the house to ourselves. He moved toward her slowly. I wanted to recreate our first night together, but better this time, slower, with all the love I should have shown you then. Dayan. He pulled her close, his hands gentle on her waist. This past year has been the best of my life. You and Meron are everything I never knew I needed, and I want to spend tonight showing you exactly how much you mean to me. What followed was beautiful and intimate and perfect. He undressed her slowly, kissing every inch of skin he revealed. He whispered words of love and devotion, and when they came together, it was not desperate or angry like that first time. It was 2 people who had found their way to each other against all odds, celebrating the love that had survived everything thrown at them. Afterward, wrapped in his arms, Sarah felt completely content. I have something to tell you, she said. What? I am pregnant again. Dayan went completely still. Then he pulled back to look at her, eyes wide. You are serious? Found out yesterday. I wanted to tell you tonight. She bit her lip nervously. I know we said we would wait, but... He kissed her before she could finish. When he pulled back, he was grinning like a fool. How far along? About 6 weeks. 6 weeks. He placed his hand on her still flat stomach. We are having another baby. You are happy. Happy? Serafina, I am over the moon. He kissed her again. Another baby. Another piece of our future. How did I get so lucky? They spent the rest of the evening talking about names and making plans. Dayan wanted to expand the house, add another nursery. Sarah worried about managing the cafe while pregnant again, but they figured it out together, like they did everything now. The months passed quickly. Sarah's belly grew. Meren learned to walk and started saying mama and dada. The cafe continued thriving. Dayan's security company landed several major contracts. Life was good. Really, truly good. When Sarah went into labour the second time, it was less dramatic. They made it to the hospital with plenty of time, and when their son was born, healthy and loud and perfect, Dayan cried just as hard as he had with Meren. Kofi, Sarah said, looking down at their son, after my grandfather, Kofi Yoon. Dayan touched the baby's tiny hand. Welcome to the family, little man. They brought Kofi home to meet his big sister. Meren was fascinated by the baby, wanting to touch him constantly. Dayan's uncle visited and declared both children perfect specimens of their heritage. You two are building something beautiful, he said, watching the family together. Something that will last generations. And he was right. Over the next year, they continued building. The cafe opened a second location. Dayan's company expanded to 3 cities. They bought the house next door and knocked down the wall, creating one massive home for their growing family. On their actual second wedding anniversary, they renewed their vows, this time with a real ceremony. Meren was the flower girl, toddling down the aisle, throwing petals everywhere. Kofi slept through the whole thing in his grandmother's arms. I, Dayan, take you, Serafina, to be my wife, he said, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. To love and to cherish from this day forward. You are my heart, my home, my everything, and I promise to spend every day proving myself worthy of your love. I, Serafina, take you, Dayan, to be my husband, she said through happy tears. To love and to honour from this day forward. You are my partner, my best friend, my soulmate, and I promise to choose you every single day for the rest of our lives. When they kissed, their friends and family cheered, and as they walked back down the aisle together, hand in hand, Sarah looked at everything they had built, the family, the love, the life that had seemed impossible a few years ago. Regret anything? Dayan whispered. Not a single thing. She squeezed his hand. This is exactly where I am supposed to be. With me? With you. Always with you. Later, at the reception, after the dinner and the dancing and the cake cutting, they snuck away to the garden. The same garden where they had talked during those first uncertain days, when she had come back to Atlanta. Remember when you thought you hated me? Dayan pulled her close, swaying to the distant music. I never hated you. I was just scared. And now I am not scared of anything. Not as long as I have you. She looked up at him. Thank you for not giving up on us, for fighting for us, for proving that love really can conquer everything. Thank you for running into that club a year ago, for giving me a second chance, for building this life with me. He pressed his forehead to hers. I love you, Serafina Yoon, more than words can say. I love you too, Dayan Yoon, forever. And as they danced under the stars, surrounded by everything they had built together, both knew that forever was exactly what they had, a forever filled with love and family and the kind of happiness that comes from fighting through darkness to find the light. From a cold confrontation in a Baltimore club to this moment of perfect peace, they had travelled an impossible journey, and now they were exactly where they belonged, together, always together. 5 years later, Sarah stood in the kitchen of their home, preparing breakfast while chaos erupted around her. Meren, now 7, was arguing with Kofi. 5 about whose turn it was to pick the morning cartoon. Their youngest, 3-year-old daughter, Ayana, sat in her high chair, banging a spoon and demanding pancakes. "Mama, tell Kofi it is my turn," Meren pleaded. "Mama, she picked yesterday," Kofi countered. "Pancake, pancake, pancake," Ayana chanted. Sierra laughed, expertly flipping pancakes while refereeing. "You can each pick one show. And Ayana, your pancake is coming, sweetie." Strong arms wrapped around her waist from behind. "Good morning, beautiful," Dayan murmured, kissing her neck. "Good morning yourself. Did you sleep well? I always sleep well with you beside me." He reached around her to steal a piece of bacon, and she smacked his hand playfully. "That is for the children. I am your child too, the biggest one." She rolled her eyes, but could not stop smiling. After 8 years together, he still made her heart flutter. He had kept every promise. The dangerous Mafia boss was gone, replaced by a devoted father and husband who coached Meren's soccer team and read bedtime stories with silly voices, and still looked at Sarah like she hung the moon. His security company had grown into one of the most respected on the East Coast. Completely legitimate, completely clean. Her cafe had 4 locations now, and she was in talks for a 5th. They had built an empire, but one based on hard work and love, instead of violence and fear. "Daddy, tell Meren it is my turn." Kofi ran to his father. "Tell Kofi he is being unfair." Meren was right behind. Dayan scooped them both up, one under each arm, making them squeal with laughter. "How about we watch something together? All of us?" "Yes," they chorused. Crisis averted, the family settled in the living room. Meren on one side of Dayan, Kofi on the other, Ayana in his lap. Sarah brought plates of pancakes and joined them, curling into her husband's side. This was her favourite time. Weekend mornings when nobody had anywhere to be. Just the 5 of them together, happy and safe and loved. "I have news," Dayan said during a commercial break. "What kind of news?" Sarah asked. "The kind that involves another nursery." He grinned at her shocked expression. "I am not pregnant," she laughed. "At least, I do not think I am. Not that. I am finalizing the adoption paperwork for Yuki." Sarah gasped. Yuki was a 6-year-old boy they had been fostering for 8 months, a Korean orphan who had been through the system too long. The moment they met him, they both knew he belonged with them. "Really? It is official? Judge signed off this morning. He is ours, Serafina, our son." Tears filled her eyes as she kissed him. "We need to tell him. Where is he?" "Still sleeping. He was up late reading again." Dayan looked at their other children. "How would you guys feel about Yuki staying forever? Being your brother, officially? Forever and ever." Meren's eyes went wide. Forever and ever. All 3 children erupted in cheers. They loved Yuki, had accepted him immediately as part of the family. Now it would be permanent. When Yuki woke up an hour later and stumbled downstairs rubbing his eyes, the whole family was waiting. Dayan knelt down to his level. "Yuki, you know how you have been staying with us for a while now." The boy nodded, suddenly looking nervous. He had been abandoned before. He always feared it happening again. "Well, we talked to the judge, and he said you can stay here forever, if you want to. You would be our son. Officially, Yoon Yuki." Yuki's eyes filled with tears. "Really? I can stay? You want me?" "Of course we want you." Sarah knelt beside Dayan, pulling the boy into a hug. "We love you so much. You are already our son in our hearts. Now it is just official on paper too. I love you too," Yuki whispered, crying into her shoulder. "I want to stay. I want to be a Yoon." The other children piled on, creating a massive group hug. Dayan wrapped his arms around all of them. And Sarah saw tears streaming down his face too. "We are a family," he said firmly. "All of us. Forever." Later that night, after all 4 children were finally asleep, Dayan and Sarah sat on their back porch with glasses of wine, looking at the stars. 4 children, Sarah said, shaking her head in wonder. "Remember when it was just us? When we thought life was complicated then? That was not complicated. That was simple compared to managing 4 kids' schedules." But he was smiling. "I would not change a thing, though." "Me neither." She leaned against his shoulder. "We did it, Dayan. We built the life we dreamed about. We are still building it." His hand found hers, threading their fingers together the way he always did. Every day, we build it a little more. Add a little more love. Do you ever miss it? Your old life, the power, the danger? Not for a second. He lifted her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles. That life was empty. This life is full. You filled all the empty spaces in me, Serafina. You and our children. You made me whole. You made me brave. She turned to look at him. "Before you, I was running. From my father, from my past, from myself. You taught me to stand still, to fight, to choose love even when it is scary. We taught each other." He cupped her face, his thumb brushing her cheek. "That is what the best partnerships do. They make both people better." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, enjoying the peace. Then Dayan pulled something from his pocket, a small velvet box. "What is this?" Sarah asked. "Open it." Inside was a new ring, not replacing her wedding band, but complementing it. A beautiful emerald surrounded by diamonds. "Emerald for Eritrea," he explained, "because your heritage is part of what makes you who you are, and diamonds because you shine brighter than anything I have ever seen." He took the ring and slid it onto her finger beside her wedding band. "Happy anniversary." "Our anniversary is not for 3 more months. This is our first meeting anniversary. 8 years since I walked into that club and saw you again. 8 years since my life changed forever. You and your many anniversaries." But she was crying happy tears as she admired the ring. "It is beautiful. You are too much. Never enough." He kissed her softly. "I will spend the rest of my life trying to show you how much you mean to me, and I will still fall short. You do not fall short. You are perfect, only because you love me. Your love makes me better than I ever could be alone." He pulled her onto his lap, careful and loving. "I have been thinking about something." "What?" "About that night in the club, when I said those words, 'Hate me when I am inside you.'" He looked almost embarrassed. "I was so angry, so hurt. I said it to push you away, even while I was pulling you close. I remember. I want to say new words now. Better words." His hands framed her face. "Love me when I am inside you. Love me when I hold you. Love me when I mess up and when I get it right. Love me through everything, because I will love you the same way, always. I do love you." She pressed her forehead to his. "Through everything, for always. You are my forever, Dayan. And you are mine." They kissed under the stars, 2 people who had found each other in the darkness and built a life in the light. A life filled with children and laughter and the kind of love that most people only dream about. Inside they heard Ayana crying, then Kofi joining in, probably another nightmare. They pulled apart with matching smiles. "Duty calls," Sira said. "Together?" he asked, standing and pulling her up. "Always together." They walked hand in hand back into their home, toward their children who needed them, toward the beautiful chaos of the life they had built. And neither of them would have it any other way, because this was what mattered, not power or money or status, just love, just family, just each other. From a hate-filled encounter in a dark club to a love-filled life in the light, they had travelled an impossible journey, and now they were exactly where they belonged, together, forever, always. Thank you so much for reading this story. If you enjoyed the journey of Dayan and Serafina, from that intense club encounter to their beautiful forever, please subscribe to the channel so you never miss another story. Drop a comment below and tell us where you are watching from and which chapter was your favourite. And if you loved their spicy romance, give this video a like. Your support means everything and helps us bring you more amazing love stories. See you in the next one.